So what we're going to take a look at now is switching from SQLite to using PostgresQL, which is an open source relational database, and it is production worthy. We can use this database in production. Now the reason for PostgresQL is because when we move on to publishing, we're going to use a platform called Heroku. And Heroku generously provides us with a free instance of PostgresQL if we want it. So that's the database server that we're going to use. If you want to use SQL Server, you can do, but there's no way to get a free instance of a SQL Server database that I can find. So what we'll be using is PostgresQL. It's compatible with Windows, Linux, and Mac, and that means we can use this with whichever platform we're using. The easiest way to get Postgres installed on your computer is to use Docker. And I was quite late to the Docker party, but it really is quite fantastic. And if you do not have Docker installed on your computer, then just go to docker.com, go to their products, and you want Docker Desktop. This also includes their command line interface, but the desktop is pretty useful to see what containers, and Docker, if you've not used it before, a Docker container is similar to virtualization in a way, and it runs everything that you use inside Docker inside its own container and is a safe place to run certain things. But it also gives us an easy way to get things like Postgres running on our computers without interfering or needing to actually install PostgresQL, and we can simply use this to get it installed. So just come to docker.com if you do not have this. There's a version for Windows and there's a Linux engine for this as well. So do whatever is right for your computer, and once you've installed it, you should then have access to the Docker dashboard, and it tells you what containers you have running. And of course I don't have any containers running, and what we can do is we can just run a simple command to get PostgresQL up and running on our computers. So once you have Docker installed, you can see this Docker desktop dashboard thing, then we'll head over to the command line. And what we want to use is Docker. So just make sure you have Docker available just by typing Docker and making sure you can see all of the different commands that we have available. And once you've confirmed that, then what we can do is say Docker run, and then we can give our container a name, and I'm just going to call this dev. And then we can set some environment variables for Postgres. So we need to supply a Postgres underscore user, and I'm just going to set this equal to admin, and then we say -e, and we also need to supply a password, so we'll say Postgres underscore password, and I'm going to set this equal to secret, possibly the weakest security in the world, but don't forget this is running on our development machine, so it really doesn't matter. And then I'm going to specify the port that I want this to run on, and PostgresQL uses 5432, so we'll say 5432 colon 5432, and then we specify -d, and this is the image that we want to run inside the container, so we can just specify Postgres colon, and we'll just get the latest version of this available. And if we press return, then if you don't have Postgres already downloaded onto your computer, it'll go and pull the files that are needed for that, and then start an instance of Postgres on your computer. And what you should have after you've done that is you should see the container running, and you can click on this, and we can go and inspect this. And what you should see is the Postgres user, which is admin, Postgres password, which is secret in my case, and then a bit of information about the container. So once you've got to this point, you now have Postgres installed, and what we'll do next is take a look at how we can switch to using this database server rather than SQLite.